Aloha and welcome to this experience, E43, Digits Part 2. We're going to keep on making mock-up pages for digits. I think that's a good way to start application development, is to just create pages. They don't have any behavior, but they demonstrate what you want things to look like. And then in the following WOD, we wire them up, or later on you wire them up after you kind of understand what you want them to look like. I think that helps simplify your thinking. So we're going to make two pages in this one. One is called an add contact page, and it's going to have a first name, last name, address, and telephone and email, and a submit button. And then there'll be an edit contact page. It looks almost, it almost is exactly the same. It'll say edit contact, and there'll be an update button, and then you'll get there by providing edit contact and then the ID of that contact. I'm just faking that right there. There's no edit contact button, as you'll understand why that, but there is an add contact button or link in the menu bar that you can use to get to that page. So that's all we're going to do in this WOD, and I want to encourage you before starting this WOD to spend a little time with Meteor example form. So you can download the zip file by clicking on this link, go through these instructions, watch the screencast at the bottom, which is here. That's a walkthrough. That's about 20 minutes. And that's time well spent. Both for this WOD and the following WOD, you'll be a little less lost, I think, if you've looked at that. You might be a little lost after you've watched it, actually, but then the combination of watching it and then doing this WOD and then maybe going back and watch it some more, I think is the fastest way to get yourself out of the woods. That's at least what I'm hoping. Okay, so oh, and then the final thing is, if you can watch this before actually doing the WOD in this case, because I think it'll help you get through it a little better. All right, so let's start our timer, and we're going to switch to a branch called Add Edit Mockups 1 in the local repo. So I'll just copy that. I'll switch to GitHub, and I'll say we're going to create a new branch off of master called Add Edit Mockups 1. And we'll do all the work in that branch. And so the first thing we're going to do is create a new page called Add Contact. So that means creating two files called Add Contact Page and Add .html and JS. We're going to import them, and then we're going to find a template with the same name, but you notice it's got underscores instead of dashes, and it's capitalized. Those are our naming conventions from Meteor Application Template. So let's go ahead and do all of that. So we have to go into the Imports, UI, Pages, and what I think I'll do is I'll take this Add Stuff page and I'll Control-C it and Propeller V it, because it's going to be close to what we want. And so we call this Add Contact Page. Okay, and let's take a look at it, and let's get rid of this junk in here, because we'll have to completely redo that. But at least we'll get the template called the right thing, and then we need a JavaScript file as well. So I'll say add contact page to get something close, and then let's just get rid of all that stuff. But at least we got something. I guess we have to get rid of almost everything here. Sure, what the heck, we'll get rid of everything. Okay, so we got our add contact page.html.js, and then we have to make sure that we import those files, because otherwise they won't show up. So we say add contact page.html, add contact page.js. And actually, for add contact page, let's just say add contact page. Let's put some text in there so that we can actually see if it's working. And then, so we've created our two pages, we've imported it, it's the template, and then we want to create a route to this page in our router. So to do that, we have to go to import startup client router.js. So let's take, I don't know, that one, and we'll copy that, and so we'll say add contact, and the name of this again should be, we're going to use the same name as the page for the name of the route. so that we don't have too many different kinds of things running around here. Add contact page. All right, so now we've got a route, we've got a template, we've got it imported into the system, and we've got a route to it. So let's look here and see if we can actually see that page. So we'll go back to our digits, refresh just for fun, and then let's say add contact and see what happens. Okay, so that's great. So we actually got to the page, right? It's not formatted very well. But we did get to it, and that's pretty good. So the next thing it says is we want this page to present a form with input controls for first, last address, phone, and email strings. So something like this. And this is the point at which, when you're doing mock-up development, is you go back to your documentation. In particular, you go back to the semantic UI documentation. Since we're building a form, you go find yourself the form page, and you click on it. And then you start cruising through here looking for things similar to what it is you want to do. And when I was doing this, I said, well, shoots, you know, that looks promising, that shipping information thing where those two fields, I like that one. So then you click on this link so you can display the actual code. And then I'll just go ahead and I will, I don't know, maybe I'll get that much. Or maybe not. How much shall I get? I'll just get this first piece of it. So I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to go back to the system, and I'm going to find my add contact page.html, and then I'm going to paste that in. Now what's nice about IntelliJ, well, again, one of the things that's nice about IntelliJ is it will do like the / completion. So I can do I just typed a / and I finish off that form, and then propeller option L will actually reformat things and make sure my indentation is correct. So those two things together make it way, way easier to ensure that syntactically things make sense. Okay, so I really recommend you get your propeller option L working, which is the same as reformat code. Okay. But you know, learn the keystroke for it, and then also just that if you're using the ICS SE template, then you should get the indentation correct, and it should do the /. Okay, so anyway, let's save this, and just for grins, let's go see what our page looks like now. And what our page looks like is not that good. The first thing you'll note is that we got to be inside a container, so we get some margins here. So let's go do that. So we have to say div class equals UI container, and then let's put that around the entire form, and then a propeller option L will automatically reformat things. Propeller S to save, propeller tab to go back to Chrome, and okay, that looks a lot better, although it's still kind of really flush against the top. So to fix that, there's a variety of ways to do that, but particularly when doing a mock-up, I like this approach because it gets you where you want to go pretty fast. So we'll wait for a meter to refresh. Okay, so that looks really pretty nice, except we don't have all our fields. So we still need an address field and a telephone email field. And I'm noticing that the telephone email is kind of just like the name field, so maybe one way to do that is to say take this, okay, and we'll copy it, and then we'll say telephone email, and then this will be telephone, and this will be email. And then in between, we just need a regular old field that's going to have the address. So we could do something like label, and then an input type of address. And I'll propel another L to make sure that that's Right. Okay, so let's go take a look and see how that looks. Well, I think that looks pretty good. Let's go up here. Yeah, I think we pretty much got it. You know, you have to kind of sneak it in a little bit to make it look exactly like what I had, but I think that's pretty good. But we'll do one other thing to kind of clean it up. We've got these names that aren't the same as the placeholder, or the same as what we're going to need. So let's just fix the name fields before we move on to something that reflects the data that's actually being in there. And that'll make our life a little better later on. But other than that, I think that looks pretty good. So let's go back and see what else we have to do. So we got that form with input controls, but we have to have a menu that provides a link to this page. Okay. So how do we do that? Well, we go back to Layouts, Header. Okay, and what I'm going to do is take this one, which looks pretty close to what we need, and we've got this isActiveRoute, which is our little helper function, which will highlight this link when it's the actual page that's being displayed. So we just add that in, and then let's go back and look at digits. Okay, and so that's pretty cool. So you can see Add Contact is a link that's there now, and it's actually highlighted because that's the page that we're at. We could go back to the home page. Now it's not highlighted, but we can hover over it and it'll highlight, and then we click, and then we go there. So pretty quickly we've got that behavior all done, and I think that's everything we need for the new page. So now we're going to create an edit contact, and that means we're going to have those two files again. It's going to be called edit contact. The form is going to actually be just about the same, and the URL will be a little different, but otherwise it's going to be, you know, kind of just almost the same. And if you watch the Meteor example form tutorial, you'll see that that's kind of my standard way when you're starting off to make a different page for adding, you know, creating a new one and updating, just so there's a little bit of redundancy there, but it helps keep things straight when you're just trying to, you know, stay out of the weeds, understanding-wise. Okay, so let's go ahead and create an edit contact page. And I'll use my add contact page as the basis for that. So I'll say propeller C, propeller V, and we'll say edit contact page .html, and I'll take my add contact page.js, propeller C, propeller V, and say edit contact page.js. So now let's look at both of these things. Well, let's actually first, before we do anything else, let's make sure that we've imported it. Or maybe we shouldn't, because it might be nice to see what happens when you haven't imported. So maybe we'll just pretend that we forgot to do that. So here's our edit contact page. Let's update this so that the template is the same as what the name of this thing is. And shipping information. Huh. Okay. Edit contact. I guess I must have add contact. Shipping information. Jeez. Okay. So that slipped by me. Add contact. Okay. Now has the right title for the form. Edit contact has the right title for the form. Oh, and you know, there's another thing we forgot, which is the submit button. So let's go back to form and find us a submit button. There's one right there. So let's get the code and copy that, and then go back here, and then right before the end of the form, this is my edit contact, so I'll call it update. add contact. Let's add in the button. Can't believe I forgot that. Submit. Okay, that looks good. Edit contact page.html looks like that. Edit contact page is empty. So let's now go to the router and make a route for edit contact. And that route is supposed to look like edit contact /:ID. And then we'll call the name of this route edit contact page because that's where it goes, and then the body is that actual template. So if we go back, just see that everything builds. So it did. And now we go back to here, and we look. We've got our add contact now. That actually says add contact here. That's much better. And let's try to go to that edit contact page. Edit contact /123. And if we do that, nothing shows up. Okay? And I really want you to see this because this is going to happen to you, I guarantee you, at least once in your life when you're programming with Meteor 1.4, where you carefully construct your template and you carefully construct your route, and you know that's all correct, and yet nothing appears. The first thing you should think to yourself is, darn, I forgot to import it. Okay, and that's the problem that we're seeing here. So whenever a page does not display or anything doesn't display, first thing that should come into your brain is, did I actually import the darn thing? And the answer is no, we forgot to. So let's go and import those two pages. Edit contact page, edit contact page. And now let's go back to Google Chrome, and we'll wait for the form to refresh, and Meteor to refresh the page, and it does, and kabam, okay, now we've got our edit contact page displaying. We can go back to add contact, and now we've got the add contact page, and then I don't know, we could do edit contact with some other thing, foo. Doesn't really matter what it is, and we get to the edit contact page because the route matches. Okay, so there we go. I think we've got our two pages. If I'm not mistaken, they look pretty much exactly the same, and so we should commit our changes to GitHub, which would look like this. So we say finished mockup pages. Okay, and we'll note that it's just about 16 minutes. We'll call this a 16-minute WOD. Now, one of the things you might be interested in is how do I get this back into master? So, if you wanted to go back and start this over from scratch, you could simply go back to the master branch, okay, and you can. And now, if we look here, we'll see that we're back where we were at the beginning, and we could do the WOD again and make a new branch. Right? But let's say that we finish this add edit mockups 1, okay, and we want to merge that into master. The way you do that is you go to master, and then we say compare, okay, and now we click this update button to merge our changes into master we merge our changes from the branch that we just did into master. And I'm showing you this because actually I think this is the way that you can do it that looks similarly on both Windows and Macintosh platforms. So we'll do this merge, and there we are. We're still in master. Everything's good. We'll do a sync. And now now everything is wonderful. We're in the master branch. And if we go to our digits, we can see that we've got the, the latest version of the system. Okie dokie, that's this WOD. The next one's going to be fun because we're going to actually start adding behaviors to this application.